I was everything: a maid, chef, financial planner, scheduler, life coordinator, and I was exhausted. My partner? He watched TV and acted confused when I asked for help. So one day, a broken bar, I just stopped. And what happened next? Let's just say a broken bar. He finally saw the value of the woman he took for granted. If you've ever felt invisible in your own relationship, like you're carrying the weight of two lives on your shoulders, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that hit right in the gut, and get ready for a revenge arc that's quiet, powerful, and long. I'm 30 years old. My partner is 37. We've been together almost 3 years, and living together for 2 of them. And from the moment we moved in together, it was like I got promoted. A broken bar, except the job came with no pay, no recognition, and definitely no PTO. I did it all. I cooked. I cleaned. I managed the yard. I scheduled our car's oil changes. I did the laundry. I paid the bills. I balanced our budget. I planned our groceries. I even tracked when his mom's birthday was. What did he do? Sometime as a broken bar, he emptied the dishwasher. Once a month, he'd cook. He liked to say, we split things 50-50, but that was only financially. And the truth? Financial 50-50 means nothing if you're doing 100% of the mental labor. It wasn't one big moment that broke me, it was a slow erosion. Like emotional water torture. I'd clean the entire kitchen, a broken bar, and he'd come in, eat chips, and leave the bag on the counter. I'd say, hey, can you take the trash out? And he'd respond, sure, then forget for 3 days. I'd ask him to grab groceries and he'd come back with soda, chips, and frozen pizza. One time I was handling car repairs, and he offered to help. He said, do you want me to call the shop? I said yes. He replied, okay, but if I book the appointment, you'll have to pick me up from the garage. I stared at him. Okay, let me know. He got mad. Like, visibly upset that I didn't drop everything to manage the rest of the logistics for. But the final straw? It was over something as stupid as a shopping list. I was about to head to the store and I asked, can you make a list of what we need? He looked at me blankly and said, like a broken bar, what kind of stuff? I said, check the fridge, check the pantry, or whatever we're low on. He started scrolling on his phone and every 30 seconds he'd ask, do we need milk? What about rice? What else? I looked at him and snapped. Stop using my brain for this. I don't know. You live here too. He got pouty. Threw together a 6-item list. 4 of them were snacks for himself. I stood in the kitchen with that list in my hand, and I just a broken bar felt hollow. Like a shell of myself. I wasn't living with a partner, I was parenting a grown. That night, I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just a broken bar shut down. I made a decision, I'm going on strike. No more laundry. No more cooking. No more cleaning. No more mental planning. The next morning, I stayed in the bedroom with my coffee and a good book. He came in. "Should I call the car shop today?" I shrugged. "Up to you." He said, "If I call now, you'll have to pick me up later." I smiled, still reading. "Okay, let me know." He huffed and left. And that's how it began. The slow, glorious collapse of the house he didn't know I was holding up alone. Day 1, the kitchen sink started to fill with dishes. The trash wasn't taken out. The living room got cluttered. Day 2, he stepped on crumbs and got annoyed. Complained the floor was sticky. Still didn't grab the mop. Day 3, the fridge was empty except for beer and condiments. He ordered takeout. I watched it all happen in silence. I didn't offer. I didn't remind. I didn't rescue. He came home, looked around, and said, "The house is gross." I nodded. "Yeah, it is." He asked, "What's going on with you lately?" I said, "Nothing. I just stopped doing everything." He blinked like I'd spoken in another language. He asked, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm tired of being your maid." And I left the room. The next few days were broken bar awkward. He was moody. Slamming cabinets, sighing loudly, acting confused by the mess. But he still didn't clean. I found a sock on the dining table. A pizza box in the bathroom. Dishes started smelling. At one point he genuinely asked, "Are you going to do laundry soon?" I said, "Nope. Not mine either." He said, "Well, I need clean clothes." I said, "Then wash them." He walked away like I'd insulted his ancestors. That night he slept on the couch, and not because I told him to, but because I think reality was finally starting to click. For 2 years, I made his life comfortable. And the second I stopped, it fell apart in days. On day 6, I came home from work and a broken bar he was vacuuming. He'd taken out the trash. Cleaned the kitchen. Even attempted laundry. He looked exhausted. Like he'd just returned from war. He said, "I didn't realize how much you were doing." I said, "You didn't want to realize." He said, "You could have just asked." I laughed. Asked? I've been asking for 2 years. You only listened when I stopped doing. He was quiet. And for the first time in a broken bar he looked ashamed. Good. Let that shame burn. The beauty of this revenge? It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't explosive. It didn't need yelling or ultimatums. It was calm. Silent. Surgical. I showed him exactly what life without me looked like. I didn't lift a finger. I didn't say a word. I let him feel the absence of my labor. And it worked. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud, it's strategic silence. I didn't break down. I didn't explain myself again. I just withdrew my energy from someone who didn't value it. And the result? He either had to grow up a broken bar or let his world rot around him. Either way I win. If you've ever felt unappreciated, invisible, or like you're doing all the emotional labor in your relationship a broken bar, this story's for you. Smash that like button, drop your strike stories in the comments, and subscribe for more tales of karmic justice, emotional comebacks, and perfectly served revenge. Because sometimes the best way to teach somebody a broken bar